I'm so glad we have a good showing today. So today, I'm hoping for the next half an hour here, we're going to be able to work through a series of questions that have come up as we have, I'll take the blame, been working as a leadership board on what exactly Clean should be working on and what exactly we as a board should be thinking about and what exactly as a network this group should be taking on, and who are we, all those sort of big questions that come up when you're like, who are we and what do we do? And it's fun. I feel like I have been a part of this community as it's grown up, and now we're leaving our teens behind maybe and entering adulthood as a community. And it's time to really think about getting more of a vision, I think, of what we can accomplish together and help us fine tune that. So I thought it would be fun to move through some jam boards, which are my favorite things of late, to help us think about that. And I posted in the chat a jam board I would love everyone to click into. And what I'm thinking is, so there's 4 questions that have been asked, and I'll tell you what they are now, just as so you can click through the board as well. And if you've never used one of these before, I can tell you about it in a second. But the first question is, what is clean to you? And when I ask that, what I'm thinking is that, what does it mean? What is it to you as a professional, like an individual professional, but also what is it to your organization? So there's probably 2 layers of questions there, like thinking about what clean is. And for some of you, it's like, you've come a couple times, it's a phone call on a Tuesday at noon. And for some of you, maybe it's something different than that. We're just trying to get a sense of like what those things are. The next question then, building off of that, is going to be, what does clean need? Like, what does it need to be what it could be? What kind of organizations or people should be in clean? What kind of work, what kind of resources does clean need? I mean, this could be a really broad question. The third question is, what can clean be? Where do we want clean to be moving forward? So what is the potential out there? What are some ideas related to that? And then finally, and this is coming from this leadership board perspective, you may or may not be aware, and maybe now you're just learning this, there is actually a leadership board of clean, of the network. How should that leadership board support clean? What role should that board be playing in this work? And we're hoping to like gather some thoughts from you all as folks that have been in the network for a long time, for a little time. The variety of perspectives actually makes it even better. So my thought is, maybe we can spend, let's see, we have 4 questions. We have half an hour. How about for each question, I'm going to give us a period of like quiet time where everyone is adding thoughts to the board. And then we'll spend a little bit of time maybe highlighting some of the things, and then we'll move on because I want to hit all questions. For the way that these boards work, in case you have never used one before, I can't. Oh, I can share my screen. Look at that. I have access. So looking at the screen, you can see my arrow, I assume right now. If you click on the side here, there's a picture of a Post-it note, and you can click it and it pops out on your screen, and you can write whatever you want. You can also choose whatever color you want it to be if you want to choose a new color. And then once you're done with it, you can hit save and it'll just go. And then if you don't want to write another sticky note, you hit cancel. If you want to go back to the one that you wrote, you can click on it and rewrite whatever you want on it. If you want to put a picture on here, you can add a picture. I wasn't thinking we'd use those tools, but the sticky notes are super nice. And you can pull off, we can put them on top of each other and stuff too, if you want. Is there any questions that people have about how this works or this first question? People are already getting to work. So why don't we spend a couple minutes brainstorming quietly the answer to this first question. All right, I'm gonna pause us. I feel like I was trying to kind of cluster things here. Is there anything that somebody wrote that they feel like they would like to explain to the group? Or anything that folks, when they look at this, anyone is surprised was up here? I guess I'm not personally not surprised when I look at this that just because we're doing this on this call on Tuesday, that the grand, like the overarching theme here, as I'm seeing it, is like community, network, a place people, like an actual physical thing where like people come together and hear from each other, learn from each other. And the collection part of clean is like a smaller piece, which that could be survey bias, because that's where we are right now, right here on the call where we all come together for a community. But
yeah, I agree, Kristen. That was something I was saying. I wasn't surprised, but I was starting to notice too. But it was interesting that some folks kind of did still mention the resources and the collection and sharing that. And I thought it was just, yeah, interesting to sort of see that's both, both things were included in there, but definitely, like you said, much more heavy on the community side of it. And I think that makes sense for the network because that's much more of what we do here, like you were saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Survey bias.
Yeah,
Um,
but also we're a different kind of collection. I don't know if I've ever thought about us and the fullness of us as a different collection than the resource reviewed collection. But it is a collection that's curated
it's
by,
super
vote
geeky.
by your
It's
feet.
super
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not curated in the same way. We don't decide people can't
gross.
come.
I don't want to
No.
be curated. Let's
No,
not take
but I
that
mean,
analogy too far.
what I mean by that though is that over the years, people have stayed in because they found value and purpose. And when
Right.
they stop finding value and purpose for a whole host of reasons, they leave. And so it's not a perfect analogy, but there is something to why some people stay,
Yep.
some people join, and some people leave. And there's no judgment. It's just it's been an observation since 2008 that that's how this goes. People who find value continue. People who don't, for whatever reason, leave. But the value, I think, is the most important thing for me.
I'll just jump off of that because I actually talk about survey bias, Kristen. Another thing that interests me about this is also thinking of all the folks. And I was curious, at some point we should talk about like whether we want to open up this Jamboard to send out an email to the email list, because I was somebody who sort of didn't engage in the calls or a lot of other aspects of Clean, but really appreciated the email list and the connections and sort of resources that come through there. So it'd be interesting too to get perspectives from folks who don't always join the call.
No, I totally agree. I think we should do that as well. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to the next question. Whoa, someone's already been here. So what does Clean need? What do we need? What's our big dream? Dream in terms of anything. So dream away.
And if you don't know how to get to the next question, that's up urge caret to the right. Just click on it. It'll take you to 205.
If you hover over it, it says next frame.
Oh, Kristen, I have a question.
Yes, please.
So when you're talking about the question we're working on now is what again?
It is question number 2. And if you go up to the, can you get to it? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. You could just tell me, and so I.
Oh, okay. It's what does Clean need?
And you're talking in that regards. You're talking about the community calls or the collection.
It's however you think of Clean. I mean that. So thinking of that perspective, yeah.
You can say in your sticky notes which you're thinking of in terms of your comment.
I see. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Laura, for a question. And for this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different because I'm seeing people starting to do something already. So if you have written, yep, me too, yes, second this, if you could actually delete that and instead If you can go once again to that far left side of the screen where the choices are and go to the bottom and choose the first, well, not that first one. Where is it? Actually, go to the top and choose the pen. It's a highlighter. And go ahead. You might see over here in the upper right-hand side, I colored in the corner of this yellow sticky, and add a dot or a little piece of color to sticky notes that you like are like, yes, I agree with this. It doesn't have to be like some perfect, it can be a line, it can be a little smudge or whatever. So once again, I'll share my screen. So for those of you that are looking for how this works. I am going to this upper left-hand side and clicking on the highlighter. I chose a thick, and I chose the color red. You can choose whatever. And then I have that now, and I can go anywhere I want, and I can color a little bit on a sticky note. I love that. Some of these look like a nursery school kid. It's so awesome. Does anyone want to advocate strongly for any of the things on here that they think Clean needs?
Yeah, I'll make a shout out for more PR, figuring out how to let more people know about Clean.
Marketing plan.
Dawn, are you talking about the collection side or the network?
Good question, Katie.
I was thinking, I was thinking more of the resources, but both.
One thing I think we see in the chat is people emphasizing, I among them, the importance of more diversity and more inclusion. I know one of the things we're working actively to do right now is for the video for the STEM video conference. One of our narrators will be one of our African American educators. We need to make sure we're giving a voice even to our own people. So you see them in our videos, but we want to make sure that they are now speaking, not just the students, but the adult educators. And it also brings up how continually, since they're not credentialed teachers, but they're community educators, how they tend not to be recognized for what they do. And that's something, I know people here are in favor of that recognition. I just think that's important that we move that forward.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else?
I just want to point out that if you open up one of these things that somebody's put a mark on and then close it again just because you wanted to read it, the marks don't go with it.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I mean, I'm seeing a whole lot of resources and staff to advance the work of the community and share the priorities.
Mhm.
Totally, fully, thoroughly agree with that. So I just wanted to, I don't know how to make more marks than I want to, but I mean, that's a whole lot of marking I want to do.
I have something to say.
Please.
I perhaps don't know the collection that much, but it seems like to me it's difficult to find um, organizations for climate action in there, or organizations for sustainable schools. And I created a similar, I created a website that kind of pulls all the education, climate change education websites on the internet, pulls them out of their siloed websites and puts them together in a new form in order to have all those websites easily accessed at one time. And it seems to me that the resources for climate change education are still hidden in individual websites. And if you don't know which websites to choose, you don't know the plethora of resources that are already out there. And particularly for teachers who are in the humanities or teachers that teach the lower grades.
I'd like to add on to what you just said, Laura. And I'm hoping that a part of the ACE project will be what I've been calling the ACE base, the knowledge base that ACE is in a position, or sometimes I even call it ACE cases in the ACE base, of a mapped out, well curated. That could be one of the most fundamental things that we do. And if we get the funding to create that and working off of much of the stuff that Clean has been collecting over the years.
Nancy,
Nancy, that's an excellent segue to our next slide. Unless, was there someone that was just about to jump in? Or was that?
I was just going to say, Nancy, I would like to connect with you over that, and I'm going to send you my email address.
Beautiful. I was just in the middle of writing you a test asking. Thank you.
Yay. Clean connecting right here. Well, let's move to our next slide, because I'm starting to hear like what I think there is like a kind of what does Clean need and where can Clean be can sort of overlap a little bit. So let's move to the third slide now and spend some time on that question. What can Clean be? Where do we want Clean to be moving forward? What do we want it to look like? What do we want it to feel like? What activities do we want it to be doing? I see people voting again. That's awesome. If you want to read through what people have written again and do some painting, go for it.
I did notice is that we should probably organize everything before we start painting, because the paint marks don't move with what it's painted on.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning before.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm just moving things around just so that we don't disconnect things.
Hive mind.
Resistance is futile. Simple.
Resistance is always there.
And as you're filling this out, also think about what the collection can do. I know there's a lot of emphasis on the network, but we are also would love to hear what you feel like the collection could do.
And how much teacher training does the Clean Network do?
Very regular webinars, and then conferences. There's a teacher ambassador program. Like, put it out there if you feel like we should do more.
One thing we definitely need to do more of is elevate members' work in this space across. Not just the stuff that is funded by the Clean Core activities, but like, Climate Generation does a lot, others do a lot. I mean, there's a lot of work in this community, and I've always had this principle that we should fill every virtual opportunity. All of us should fill everyone's virtual opportunities as much as possible. It's an easy thing all of us could do together. If you got 100 seats and you're filling 30, we can do better.
Another thing that I've just seen evolve over time is increasing Clean's visibility. It has been happening, but it needs to be done a lot more. So early on, most people that I would talk to in other contexts wouldn't have ever heard of Clean. Now I'm beginning to get cases where I tell people my involvement with Clean, and they'll say, oh, I've been using those resources for a while, but there's still the majority have not heard of it. So finding ways of increasing visibility, both for the network and the collection, are important.
When I was just thinking, it doesn't have to just be Clean that leads the teaching efforts. We could work together with so it's kind of what Frank was saying. It's like NCSE, if they're doing a teacher training session, it's easy for us to network and have Katie guest speak at one of those things, or have Jessica show up to share all the stuff about Berkeley. I mean, we could easily network time where we could be bringing in more people if they know there are more opportunities at those sessions. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Totally.
There's also another avenue which I've been trying to advocate, which is developing teacher professional development efforts that actually make use of the collection directly. It really increases visibility of those pieces. It also makes people aware of the network, and there's a whole community of people involved in this work.
I see hands. Sorry, I wasn't watching I was looking at the board, but Laura and Sean and Deb all have hands up too.
I believe Sean and Deb were in front of me, before me, so you can go ahead and grab them first.
Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so I know I'm not part of this network at this point, but you're
here. You're
okay. I'm here. All right. Well,
sorry.
get all entitled on you already, but I can't, it's uncanny the overlaps we're hearing in the renewable energy education space regarding curriculum and teacher training and all that. And so someone on the previous board said something about affinity groups around topics like energy solutions, for example. And so there might be, I don't know where it would fit here, so I didn't write it, but some linkage to other networks that broaden out, because we don't dig down into the climate science part. You guys have that well established and we've known about you, but where we're talking is into the clean energy, the application of clean energy technology and climate solutions, also carbon tech and all that. So don't know how to put that there, but there might be some really great cross-pollination for the various, I don't know, synergistic content and activities and events that we could do. I don't know what that means yet, but just wanted to throw that out there.
That's cool. I wrote that actually in the next slide. It kind of related, but thank you.
Okay.
That's a great idea. Deb.
Thanks. I was thinking too about the cross-pollination kind of issues and really wanting to think about the whole name of CLEAN, of climate literacy, energy awareness. And so like, how can we do these types of professional learning that in all different settings, using the whole of our network to really like lift resources. And we've been doing that for years in all different ways. And so like a simple concrete example is like the elementary resources. So Rachel Hahn and myself from the University of Washington collaborated, because of our climb time work in Washington, collaborated with CLEAN, and like we had this great test bed of people doing all sorts of great things. And CLEAN was doing amazing things around elementary ed. And so like thinking together and working and building out some resources together. And then thinking, and we did done a couple of professional learning workshops together too, and piloted things. So that was awesome. So, and I just heard you scored Rachel for something else recently, or that's coming up. So that's awesome.
Sorry. Jim, I think you were next, and then Nancy. Or no, Laura. Sorry, Laura.
Yeah, I think
you deferred yourself, Laura, and now we're like, go, Laura, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to, at our festival, we're going to do about 8 hours of educator training. And one of the problems we had in finding our trainers is that there was no central place to go to find trainers that exist in Tennessee, because luckily we were able to find some from Vanderbilt's Climate Change Initiative, but that took quite a while. And here's an example of cross-pollination that's going on with our educator training. And I've been talking with Kristen about it for Climate Generation, is that perhaps they're going to appear virtually for about 15 minutes during our teacher training and be able to go over the resources that they have, both for students and educators. So that's an example of how we're using another organization in this network to bring the resource information to the teachers.
Thanks, Laura. Jim, then Nancy, then Jessica.
Okay, thanks.
And being conscious, we have 5 minutes left, so everyone gets 1 minute.
Okay. I realize the CLEAN resources may not be able to do this, but I'm hoping that we can do more in the network. And that is highlighting educators, their work, and students' work. In other words, the people who actually use the CLEAN resources, what do they like? What have they been successful? What works? What would they like to see different? And that inspires others, teachers, other students. And, kind of like, because we're mostly people who produce resources here, and we actually kind of bring forward the people who are actually on the ground, what they're doing, and the students themselves. Thanks.
Love it. Thank you, Jim. Nancy.
Local climate activists don't see themselves as informal educators, but they are. And I'd like us to shape it to up their game by bringing the structures and processes, the collection, as you call it, to them. Again, that's something that could occur through ACE, because that's its function.
Awesome. Thanks, Nancy. Jessica.
I just love all the talk about cross-pollination, and I do think there's another note from Sean and Eric about professional learning communities, or PLCs, and I do wonder if through that cross-pollination we can really sustain interactions with teachers, so that it's not just a one-time show up at this workshop for a few days, but we can see the same people at all of our different workshops or support them through their development of new and use of new resources. So I would really love to talk more about that with a lot of you. So thanks.
Cool. Frank, you want to close out? Last comment, last word here.
I don't know about last word, but one thing as I'm hearing this conversation, this rich conversation, is in the past, when there were funding opportunities, a lot of us would collaborate together on the side on proposals through the network. That's how we did it in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, something in that range. And I think that we're ideating what's needed. And there are going to be opportunities coming up, hopefully soon, where we can actually get resources to do these things. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they're not done yet. It's not we didn't have this. We need to get resources to do this. And that's so, but what to do is what we're doing now. So I'm really excited about this this ideation phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you.